I went straight to Lae, which is the second largest city in PNG, and it's where the first 6 refugees have been resettled. I spent 6 weeks in Lae, and I listened to their stories and spent a lot of time sort of hearing and finding out exactly the situation. While I was there, 2 of the refugees actually returned to Manus Island and attempted to re-enter the detention facility.
So why is that? Why would they want to go back to Manus Island where they'd been effectively imprisoned, detained for a number of years already?
I'm a documentary filmmaker. I'm not a psychologist. So I have my own ideas, but obviously it's a lot more complicated. The very first thing is that they weren't happy, they weren't settled, they didn't think they had opportunities in Lae. That is also compounded by so many different things. So they had all started a job. 5 of the 6 had been placed in work with one building company, and now only one of them is still working for that company. For various reasons, they all stopped working due to working conditions, due to safety, due to risk, due to various different things. And then they found themselves with no opportunities in Lae. They also found themselves in potentially dangerous situation. 2 of them have had various issues with hold-ups where they've had guns pointed at their head and criminals trying to jump the fence into the compound of the building company. And compounded on top of that, they were really alone in Lae. My belief, even though they were incarcerated and they had such a terrible experience there on Manus, they actually potentially feel that there's maybe something positive that can happen from there because there are 900 others there. Australia has a presence on Manus, whereas in Lae, it was total no support, no contact. Some of these guys had been in hotel rooms for 3 months and just with no contact with immigration, with no idea of what was going to happen to them, with no contact, no support. There's this sense of institutionalisation that perhaps they also experienced in Manus, in the sense that they were never prepared to actually be released into a community without any support.
But they fled political persecution. They applied for asylum. They've now been given that asylum. They're in a third country. They're away from the political persecution that drove them to become asylum seekers in the first place.
Yep.
Isn't it the best thing for them now to make the most of their life in Papua New Guinea?
I think that it's necessary to look at each individual as exactly that, as an individual. So of these 6 guys, they all had different reasons for leaving their country. They all had different ideas. They all had different qualifications. Some were much more educated than others. Some of them were telling me that, how crazy it is that they would risk their life to take this journey to then be in Manus for a number of years and now not even feel safe walking on the streets. I mean, these guys have had guns held. Some of them have had guns held to their head walking around the streets of Papua New Guinea. They believe they've been targeted, or they are potential targets in PNG, because there's now a growing undercurrent of Papua New Guineans that don't like what's happening also and don't want these people potentially in their country taking their own jobs, their own opportunities and so forth.
What do you think that says about the wider program, the larger program of resettling refugees in Papua New Guinea?
It's an absolute failure. It was destined to fail. It is failing, and it will continue to fail. These are recognised refugees. They have gone through the process of being determined to be refugees, and they have rights under international law, and Australia has rights under international law of which we are not providing to these guys as far as support. My understanding is that when they speak to now the many hundreds of people on Manus, they're not encouraging others to be resettled in Papua New Guinea. So you have this kind of a stalemate where you have hundreds and hundreds of people on Manus who have been determined to be recognised refugees but aren't going anywhere, apart from the fact that they're not actually being offered that many opportunities. They are now very worried that the option provided to them, whether that be PNG or in Cambodia or whatever it is, they're very worried about that prospect. So it's sort of a stalemate, and the way I see things is that even with Manus, these stalemates just can tend to continue, and days become weeks, become months, and without any sort of foreseeable solution, long-term solution. I mean, I think the whole idea or everything that I experienced is just short-term no vision, no support, nothing in place as to really what's going to happen after 1 year, 2 years. There's nothing in place.